Welcome back to today's video. My name is Taylor Price. If you're new here, financial educator, streamer, and content creator. In this video today, we are going to be talking about my top 4 favorite books, reviews, summaries, so you don't have to spend the time reading them if you don't want to. A lot of people found this really helpful on TikTok, and they've been asking for more parts to it. So I might as well thought to create this whole entire YouTube video based on 4 books. So let's get right into it. The first book on my top 4 favorites is going to have to be Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is such an amazing book when you're first starting out with the whole principle of how to attain more wealth, how to be happier, how to be more successful, how to go out and get the things that you want. So I have 5 tips, really 5 bullet points that I found the most valuable within each of the books that I'm about to tell you. But for first, Think and Grow Rich, it has to be learn to want and create goals for yourself. When you're able to know what you actually want in life and you create those goals, we can take small steps to eventually reach that goal. A lot of people just try to have a goal and then not have any steps for it. And Think and Grow Rich really teaches you how to take those steps and really comes into number 2, value number 2. Visualize, conceptualize, and imagine your success. How does it feel to hold X amount of money? How does it feel to go to the grocery store and not have to worry about how much you're spending? How does it feel to get your nails done and say, damn, I can pay this $50, $60 manicure right now and I don't have to worry about it. Like, how does that feel? How are you going to get to that feeling? It really all builds up on one another. And if you're able to start putting yourself in that mindset and that motivation, then you're going to be more likely putting yourself in the opportunities which people aren't going to put themselves in if they don't have this kind of mindset. Third, we are going to believe in ourselves and what it takes to get there. If you have self-doubt, you're already on the bad path, and most likely you won't be able to attain the goals that you want if you don't believe in yourself. The number one thing that's stopping you right now is yourself. Nobody else is really stopping you besides if you're in high school, maybe your parents or something like that. But really, it's overall you, and if you believe in yourself, then you're going to be, again, putting yourself more in the situations where you have the opportunities in which somebody else wouldn't have that opportunity if they didn't believe in themselves. After that, we are going to meditate and breathe. This helps with the parasympathetic nervous system. Big word. And it's going to stop that fight or flight mode and eventually get you to rest and relax, to bring you back to creativity and stabilization so you can think with a clear mind when you're figuring out ways to get to where you want to be. And lastly, we are going to become knowledgeable, really focusing and having specialized knowledge on what we want to do and where we want to be. Many people choose facts from here, there, and everywhere. For example, like the people on Jeopardy, they are so knowledgeable on so many little things, but a lot of them are super knowledgeable in one particular subject that they're able to regrow and create a business out of and create wealth, sustainable wealth with the knowledge that they have. So what I learned from this book is to really focus and specialize on certain areas of knowledge that are going to help me in my success. The next book that we have is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which many of you have already probably heard of, by Robert Kiyosaki. The first thing that Robert Kiyosaki taught me in this book is to pay yourself first. What do I mean by this? Well, we already talked about this kind of concept in this video, which I'm going to be linking up here, how to go from rags to riches. And basically, it's going to, instead of getting your groceries first, instead of getting your nails done, or instead of buying toothpaste or whatever you need to buy, you are going to pay yourself first and put money in a savings account, either it be an emergency fund or a rainy day fund, or maybe even investing. So eventually we can use that contribution and invest in ourselves and invest in our side hustle to eventually start creating more revenue streams, which is value number 2 that I learned from this book. Have more revenue streams than just your one job. If your job lays you off tomorrow because some massive pandemic happens, or if you got fired, or if you quit, or if you have a traumatic injury that requires a lot of medical expenses, or something came up in your life where you need to start paying for something, you need to have more than one revenue stream to help you cover those unexpected expenses. And that's really what Rich Dad Poor Dad emphasizes, in that his dad was a teacher and he only had one source of income, while his friend's dad, his mentor, the person that he looked up to, had many sources of income being an entrepreneur. Thirdly, your income should always be greater than expenses. This might be self-explanatory, but it's just putting the paint on the walls, just sealing it up, putting the top on the cover. Literally, your income has to be greater than your expenses. So if your income's not greater than your expenses right now, that is the way that you are going to go bankrupt. We always want to have more income than expenses, and you have to do whatever it takes during the time in which you're suffering from that to really grow your income. And again, I talk about this in the last video, which I did, which was going from rags to riches. And really, you need to sacrifice something in your life, whether it be your social life or whether it be having those luxury expenses, to really create that revenue stream and create another side hustle and just continue the growth of your bank account. Fourthly, the value that I learned from Rich Dad Poor Dad is that in your path or in your journey to wealth, it'll really accelerate if you understand personal finances and financial literacy. If you are financially illiterate, most likely the chances are that you will never attain wealth or riches. If you don't understand taxes, if you don't understand simple banking, budgeting, all this other stuff, credit and debt, if you don't understand the difference between good debt and bad debt and why you should get in good debt and why not you should get into bad debt, then you need to do some research. I have a personal finance launch coming May 15th on my birthday. So if you guys want to be notified for that launch, make sure to click the link down below and you will be the first ones notified for this launch. This includes Money Talk, Budgeting Basics, Budget Builder, Banking Basics, Debt Destroyer, so many courses to help you become financially literate and to help you on your road to wealth and road to success. Lastly, tip number 5 or value number 5 from Rich Dad Poor Dad is to become an entrepreneur. There are so many expenses that you have to pay as a regular employee, but if you're the employer, there's a lot of tax write-offs that you will be able to benefit. Regardless, for example, this is just hypothetical. You can start up an LLC. You can buy a house with the LLC, and you yourself can rent it. So that's already going to help you with taxes, and it's something very simple and very easy to do. And you can just implement a lot of these hacks or a lot of these concepts to wiggle your way legally through having to pay so much in taxes. The third book is Trading for a Living. So Trading for a Living is a trading book, an investing book, and it really emphasizes your psychology in that value number 1, people move the markets. Market sentiment is extremely important when you are investing. This is where all the volume comes from. This is where all the price action comes from. It's really people moving the markets. And you have to understand that you yourself are not going to be moving the market. You need to capitalize on everyone else's judgments and decision within the market. Value number 2, psychology affects the way you trade. If you are very greedy, you are not going to want to get out of a winning position. Instead, you're going to want to hold and think it's going to grow more, but actually it'll just keep going down and then you'll eventually lose your entire position and not even get a profit. Maybe you are so emotional that you're worried all the time and then you just bag hold a loss, and then eventually you blow up your entire account. This is why almost 90% of traders fail, is because they are trading with emotions. And trading for a living really emphasizes on the fact that you cannot trade with any emotions, that the psychological aspect of trading is extremely important, and it's one of the most important factors that, again, moves the market. He really emphasizes on price action as well, which includes stuff like volume, support, and resistance. It also includes trader sentiment and the momentum in which the stock price is moving, and the divergence, which is also something that's really important to take into consideration when you are trying to trade for a living, quote unquote. Lastly, value number 4, emotional crises affect traders. If you are going through something in your life right now that makes you extremely emotional and makes your emotional self more volatile, then it is not the time to trade. If you're not able to handle your emotions, then take a step back, watch the markets, and when you're ready, time to execute and shoot and go right into the position. If, God forbid, one of your relatives passed away, or you had just lost your job, or your dog passed away, something along those lines of having an emotional crisis, it is not the time to trade, because you are going to be more emotional due to the life circumstances that happen in everybody's life. My last book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So I made a TikTok on this, and this is the one that did pretty well and that people wanted to see the part 2. So it's basically a summary of what you saw there. So first value that I learned is really don't criticize people and learn what they have to say. When you shoot down somebody's opinion automatically and say no, it is going to accelerate their feelings and their judgments upon you, so that you're not going to like them. And just imagine yourself in the situation. If you were talking and then somebody's like, nope, 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 how would you feel? You would not feel great about yourself, and therefore you wouldn't want to hang out with the person who is always negative and is always shooting down your opinions or your ideas. And in this book, he really stresses on the fact that don't be extremely critical. If you are, give some critical feedback, in that you're not saying no, 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 no. Instead, you could say, well, instead of doing this, maybe you should try this, yes? And that's going to value number 2. Make the person that you want to be friends with, or how to win them over, really to say yes. Like, have them say yes, and have them agree with whatever you are saying. And a good way to do that is to listen to what they're saying and maybe re-say what they said as in a question, and then they say yes, 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 kind of ordeal. Or you can pose a question like I did in my TikTok and say yes at the end, and then most likely they will come to an agreement as well with you. And this just helps build the conversation rolling, more friendly, more trustworthy, and that's really how it all gets done. Value number 3, listen to people, to what they have to say, and really you sit back in the sidelines and let them do all the talking. If they're not a talker, then, try to pick up the conversation. But if they are, let them do it and just add a few words here and there. And again, implement all of these steps to really, really make a great friend. Value number 4, be genuinely interested in what they're saying. If you don't want to be friends with them, just move on. But if you do want to be friends with them, make sure that you are genuinely interested into what they're saying. If they're talking about football and you're not a sports person and you hate football, then maybe that's not the friend for you. Maybe that's not the person to win over, right? So really be genuinely interested and be authentic and be real with the person that you are trying to become friends with. And that is all I have for today's video. Remember, the personal finance launch is happening in just a few days on May 15th, my birthday. So if you want to become a part of this birthday spectacular, click the link in the bio, get yourself notified, and we'll see you on my birthday.